Hello everyone, Jolene here from Bookworm Adventure Girl. Welcome back, and if you are new, thanks for checking out my channel. Please hit subscribe and stick around. It's a bit chilly here today, although it's not snowing, which is kind of nice. I've been staying in and keeping warm. I've already finished a few books this year, and I've been looking back at my TBR, which I don't know about you, but my TBR is sometimes way out of control. So today I thought that I would have a look back, and I chose 22 books that have been on my TBR the longest. And maybe, although I'm not promising, but maybe I will be able to finally tackle some of them this year. I have been able to unearth most of the books from the unpacking chaos that is this room, but I will put pictures up for the few books that they're still in hiding. So I started on Goodreads in 2008, and that's when I started keeping track of my books. So the oldest books that I put on Goodreads that I still haven't read were on December 15th and 16th of 2008. So the first 20 books are from December 16th, and then the final two have been on my TBR since December 15th. There are more than these 22 books. I wish that weren't true, but we will start with these. So at number 22 is The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison. I have a couple of books by Toni Morrison, and I have never read any of them. So, maybe I will start this year with The Bluest Eye. I don't know a lot about this book, other than, I know it is highly acclaimed. And it's about a little girl who wishes that her eyes would turn blue. Number 21 is a chunky. It is Russka by Edward Rutherfurd. I have read a couple of Rutherfurd's books. I've read Serum and New York, and all of his books are huge and well researched, but they are all like a really big commitment. So this one is about Russia. So we'll see if I can find time to read this brick of a book. The book at number 20 is a nonfiction, and it was recommended to me by Diana Gabaldon, who is the author of the Outlander series. I saw her speak, and this is one of the books that she mentioned and recommended. So it is called A Mind of Its Own, A Cultural History of the Penis by David Friedman. I can't say I've ever read a book about penises before, so this I'm sure will be an interesting read, and Diana assured us that it was good. So at number 19 is The Memory Keeper's Daughter by Kim Edwards, and I've heard good things about this book, and I have other books by Kim Edwards. Again, I haven't read any of them, so maybe I will start with this one. All I know is that it is about twins, and one of them is born with Down syndrome. Next up is a classic. At number 18 is 100 Years of Solitude by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. I have really wanted to read this book, and I've heard mixed things about it, but I want to read it and see for myself. And then at number 17 is a Canadian author, and it's the beginning of a trilogy, and it's called The Englishman's Boy by Guy Vanderhaeghe. It turns out that I read the second book in the trilogy. I hadn't realized at the time that it was part of a trilogy, so what I might do is go back to read this and then continue the trilogy in order. Born on the 4th of July by Ron Kovic is next. That's at number 16. I've had this so long, and you can tell from the pages they're starting to really discolor. I saw this movie forever ago when it first came out and really liked it, and I've always wanted to read the book. Ron Kovic fought in the Vietnam War, and he was wounded, and when he returned home, he became an anti-war activist. Another movie I saw and have had the book forever is Fried Green Tomatoes at the Whistlestop Cafe by Fanny Flagg. And I think I'm really going to enjoy this when I do eventually read it. I've heard that there are, some pretty big differences from the movie, so that will be interesting to see, what those are. And if I like the characters in this story half as much as the movie, then it will be an enjoyable read. Okay, I must have been on some kind of like movie book thing in 2008, because at number 14 I have The Hours by Michael Cunningham. This is another great movie that I haven't read the book yet. This is a retelling of Mrs. Dalloway, which I have never read, so maybe what I might do is I will pair the two together. Up next is another nonfiction, Gracefully Insane by Alex Beam. This is about McLean Psychiatric Hospital, and I've read The Bell Jar and Girl Interrupted, which were both written based on the author's stays at McLean's. Other people that you might know, like James Taylor and Ray Charles, have also stayed there as well. I think that it's going to be an interesting read, because hopefully I want to learn about like the attitudes and approaches, both good and bad, with regard to treating mental illness. Number 12 is also a nonfiction and kind of based on a movie, Geshundheit by Patch Adams. So it might actually be good to read this along with Gracefully Insane. Another huge book on the list is Four Fires by Bryce Courtenay. I have several of Bryce Courtenay books. One of my all-time favorites is The Power of One. Four Fires is definitely one I have to read, or that I really want to read. I think it's just the size that has made me so hesitant to start it. This is about the Maloney family, and it takes place in Australia. I think that it will be a family saga, which I usually enjoy, so maybe I can commit to this as well this year. Number 10 is another memoir, which I've only heard good things about, A Child Called It by Dave Peltzer. And this is the first of, I think, 3 or maybe 4 books. It's a story about the abuse Dave Peltzer endured as a child. And I have really put this off for a long time, and I know that I will need to be emotionally ready for it. Number 9 is Christ the Lord Out of Egypt by Anne Rice. A couple of people have recommended this book to me, and it's about Jesus when he is 7 years old and his family is leaving Egypt. I do like stories like this, like The Red Tent or The Book of Longings, so I'm sure that I will like this one too. Number 8 is a second book in the series, Shopaholic Takes Manhattan by Sophie Kinsella. I loved the first book in the series, which I actually read many years ago on one of my earlier trips to New York, and I have no idea why I never continued with this series. I think that this will be a good filler in between, some of my heavier reads. Number 7 is another memoir, A Mighty Heart by Mary Ann Pearl, and this is another one that I think I will need to read when I am emotionally ready. This is the story of Mary Ann's husband, Danny Pearl, who was a journalist and was murdered in Pakistan. And I remember watching this story unfold, and I picked up the book when it first came out, but maybe it's time to finally actually read the book. Next is Hearts in Atlantis by Stephen King. Again, I've seen this movie. I don't even remember exactly what it was about, but this is one of the many Stephen King books that I have waiting on my shelves. At number 5 is Pigs in Heaven by Barbara Kingsolver. I read the Poisonwood Bible and loved it. And then I think I was gifted this copy of Pigs in Heaven. But it turns out that this is a sequel, and I don't have The Bean Trees, which is the first book in the series. So I think that I will wait until I get that first, and then read the two of them together. Oh, this next book was influenced by my mother. My mother is not a reader. She knows how to read, but she doesn't sit and read a book. But one of the books that she has read is one that I picked up because she spoke so highly about it. And so I think we're at number 4 maybe, is Yes I Can by Sammy Davis Jr. And I guess this is a riveting read about Sammy Davis Jr.'s life. It includes, his accident, of how he lost his eye, and what the entertainment business was like as a black performer. At number 3 is The Vein of Gold by Julia Cameron. This is a continuation, in a way, of The Artist's Way, which I loved, and for some reason I just never got to read this. This has like a creativity and spirituality vibe to it, but that also means that I have to be, in the right mind frame for it. So we will see. The last 2 books are the oldest books on my TBR. At number 2 is My Sister's Keeper by Jodi Picoult. I've had this forever. Another novel that, I've seen the movie. And here's the thing about that, like some of these I've had on my shelves for so long that there was actually no movie when I first picked them up. So I am really interested in this story, and I do know that it is different than the movie. So my plan is, if I only read 2 books from this list, that it be this one and the number 1 and oldest book on my TBR, and that is Middlesex by Jeffrey Eugenides. I have attempted to read this book once or twice, but I knew when I started it that I wasn't in the right frame of mind for it. So that means, it has sat for a long time, and I've heard so many people say they love this book and that I need to read it. So 2022, I think, is going to be the year. So those are the 22 books that have been on my shelves, unread, the longest. Please let me know if you have read any of these. Let me know what you thought of them. Which ones do you think I should read first? If you haven't read any of these, are there any that you are interested in? I'd love to hear your thoughts, and I look forward to chatting with you in the comments. Thanks again for watching. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and don't forget to make every day an adventure.